We also talked a little bit before you got on about the changes in itemization, and I'm curious to hear your take on this as an AD carry player, because your itemization is as an AD carry doesn't have a whole lot of diversity right now. But you're encountering champions, and we see this more and more, like Udyr, who was never meta but is because of Chem Tank and like Phase Rush, right? In this series, we saw Darius, who with Stridebreaker actually has a pretty long engage now, which is surprising, and it was played very well, I think, by Broken Blade in this series. How has this changed the way that you play the game from last year to this year significantly as an AD?
I mean, for example, Riot kind of ruined Ezreal, which was like one of the staple champs for so long, because he like you could play him Ludens, it's like AP at certain points, like the double tier. Then you could play him like Blade Trinity, which was like the standard AD. You could do like Iceborne, right? But now, since they changed the personally, I don't like the itemization changes for ADC at least. I think it was unnecessary. I think it was very like you could play Gwynso last year, so you had like kind of free tier. You could play like some lethality champs, like for example Varus. Then you had like Ezreal, who was like a special champ, right? And then you had like on hit and crit, and people played both. You could play on hit like Kog'Maw, Vayne, or you could just play like normal crit AD carries. And what they changed now was at the start, everything else was crit was so bad that people either played lethality or what else? I think they played Ezreal with like a weird Hydra build. Then they buffed crit, and since Gale Force was so broken, then you just played Gale Force on every single champ because it was so overpowering. And then they nerfed that, and then they initially intended like the mythics to be like very versatile on every champ. But what happens is that one champion builds like the same mythic 80% of the time, and there's like even less diversity than before, because on some champions before you could maybe be like, oh, maybe I need Runans this game, maybe I need PD, maybe Cannon is better, maybe I should go on hit this game on Varus, maybe I should go crit. But now I think they kind of killed that. So I like the old items more. I think most people actually do, from what I've talked to them. I feel like a lot of the items now are just like unnecessarily in the game. Like some of the effects are just weird. Like, okay, like some of the only reasons why some bruisers were not overpowered is because they didn't have a gap closer. And then you just give them a gap closer just for fun, I suppose, which is like kind of weird. Also, like as I said, like Gale Force completely broke the game for a bit. Like every champion was building it, and you were just one-shotting people. It was an escape, and it one-shot people, and it was a 1 minute cooldown. And I don't know, it was very bizarre, right? And I enjoy Ezreal a lot, but what they did to him now, where you're like forced to go this lethality build, or you actually completely skip mythics, you just go Muramana, Essence River, and the like Cyrilda's Grudge is also very weird to me, because they specifically said, oh, we want every champion to be able to build multiple mythics. And then the most played AD carry out of 10 years, right? He's the most popular AD carry forever, is actually without a mythic, which is like super weird. So I don't know. I personally don't like them, the changes. I think they were unnecessary. Yeah.
What's weird about what's happened to Ezreal is like when you talk about the lethality build with Duskblade, is that Ezreal was always supposed to be a champ that would power up into the late game, and now he's like this weird early game, armor pen champ who's just sucks ass in the late game. So
it's like it was. I don't think it was ever intended to play that way, right? Like you don't buy any movement speed. You're a complete glass cannon. You can't kill tanks. You just. I don't know. It's kind of weird for sure. Like for my favorite Ezreal was the one with like Ludens. I felt like that one was the most was very fun to play. Maybe it was probably broken, so maybe that's also biased there. But I think for sure. I don't really understand why they went for the changes, or like maybe I can understand why, but I don't think they were done that well. Like I think also mage items, they kind of messed up. Like they had to rebalance it for a long time, and I think I remember on release the Sunfire Cape was super strong. I think last year was a bit better personally. I think the best year for balance was I think 2018 for AD carries at least. Because I distinctly remember so many champions being viable. You had like Kog'Maw, Vayne, Kai'Sa, who played on hit, right, with Gwynso. And you had Tristana Caitlyn, who played crit. You had Kalista, who had her like own Blade of the Ruined King build, like Varus as well. He could actually play 3 different styles. You had Ezreal, right? So I think that one was very, very diverse. But actually, like now the meta did kind of shift from only like Kaisa, Samira, and stuff like this to kind of other champs. So maybe slowly it will turn back. But I still think the item changes. I liked it more before personally.